Okay, let's start again. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for chiming in. Those of you at home watching the re-recording of this, welcome to all of you. And here we go. Let me get it all on the screen here. And we are talking about a couple things today. And as soon as I can get this stuff rolling here. And here we go. Good. So thank you all for joining in. And whoops, there we go. That's what I wanted to do. If you have a body, you are an athlete, me, my book. All right, here we go. So yeah, a couple of great mistakes before we get into the course. I want to give a little preview of the course. We already talked about the first 6 miles, which are really the critical element. We did that last week. We're going to touch on that right now, again, very quickly, and then we'll move on for the first 6 miles. But really, the couple big tickets this week is don't do too much in your final taper. It takes 10 days to 14 days for an exercise regimen to impact your physiology. In other words, increase your fitness. Okay. As we discussed here before, you saw this a couple of weeks ago, even though everything is tapering down, your fitness levels continue to increase during periods of taper, peak, and well, race would be taper, right? You're still peaking, and then race day would be right at the peak of your energy levels and fitness before you drop again. So this is so critical. You gain more, like as much as 0.5 to 7% increase in energy output just during period of taper. So at this point, you can do no more. You can't gain from doing more, but you can gain a lot. The average is 3%. I know I said this before. I'm saying it again because it's so important. The average is 3%. You can gain so much more from doing less at this period of time. So training is over. Maintaining your endurance base now is the key to just drop it 40 to 50% off of what you were just doing. Now, you can increase a little bit of speed work because speed work will maintain your aerobic low heart rate base, right? That aerobic base. It will do that. All those capillary veins and arteries, mitochondria, oxidative enzymes, all those things you get at low heart rate to build endurance. You can maintain, not build, but you can maintain even by doing speed work. So you could increase your speed work a little bit while you're dropping all the volume all the way, or down to 40, 50% less. Next week, you'll note your schedules will drop from when you're started on Monday this week. They will do that Monday next week will be the same, but then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will drop until Friday. You have absolutely nothing. Take Friday off. And then Saturday, we will do that little 10-minute kicker in Griffith Park at 8 o'clock in the morning at Griffith Park at our normal location at Shane's Inspiration. That's the children's playground at Griffith Park where we always meet. And then we will go to the expo, which actually has kind of a soft opening that no one really knows about. At 9 o'clock, they do take people in, so they don't have a huge line. But the real hard opening is at 10 o'clock for everybody. So we could be there a little early and they'll take us in at the expo right after we finish our little 10-minute run at Griffith Park, which is not far away. Okay. Now, the first 6 miles, I want to touch on this really quick again because it's so critical. The screwing up the first 6 miles, you're going to destroy your race. Get the first 6 miles right, and you set yourself up for a killer marathon, PR, and everything else. But that means you are going to be a certain percentage slower than where you want to be when you hit mile 6 or even sunset again at the end of that little loop when you hit sunset again and then you're heading out. The end, take note. You go past Echo Park Pond. At the end, shall we call it, you go, the widthwise across Echo Park Pond, then you go the lengthwise across Echo Park Pond. When you hit the end there, roughly the end, you will see the 6 mile sign. And when you see the 6 mile sign, you have one little, if you recall, we did it the other day, you have one little kind of veer off to the left, about 45-degree angle, if even, and it's a little uphill for about 1/10 of a mile, not even. And then you hit Sunset. And then you go left on Sunset on the actual course, where last week we went right on Sunset to go back to Dodger Stadium. Yes, if you loved the first 6 miles of the LA Marathon and you want to do it again, go to the right. If you want to go and finish your marathon and have a killer LA Marathon, go to the left and follow everybody to the left. Don't go to the right. Anyway, so you do want to calculate your average pace. And if you are slower than 4-hour marathon pace, if you're slower than a 4-hour marathon pace, and you're faster than, shall we say, like a 6:30 pace, right? That range, 4 to 6:30, right in there, you need to be about 5 to 10% slower when you hit mile 6 at the end of Echo Park Pond, right? 4 to 10% slower. Now, here's the example down here on your screen. If you're a 10-minute per mile pacer, which is a 4:10 overall marathon, 10 minutes for 6 miles is 10 times 6 is 60 minutes, right? So theoretically, if you're doing everything correctly under normal circumstances on flat ground, when you hit the end of Echo Park Pond, you would, at 6 miles, you would be at a 10-minute per mile pace, you would be at 60 minutes. Pretty simple. Add an average of 5 to 10%, you're looking at 3 minutes to 6 minutes more, right? Or here I calculated 7%, which is kind of the median of 5 to 10%. 7%, you would be at 64 minutes and 10 seconds. So somewhere between 63 and 66 minutes, if you're a 10-minute per mile pacer, that's where you want to be. So take your average pace, multiply it by 6, figure out where you will be at 60 minutes, and then multiply that by 7%, and that'll give you your additional few minutes more. Now, if you're faster than 4 minutes, you're talking about 2 to 5%. So you're talking about, what is that? About 3 minutes, 1 minute to 3 minutes slower than your marathon race pace, probably like 1 or 2 minutes slower than where you should be at marathon race pace. So do those calculations so that when you hit mile 6, all right, I got it, I'm on target. Then when you get to the top of Sunset, keep it slow, even on that little 1/10 of a mile hill. When you hit Sunset, take a physical assessment of how you feel. How do I feel? Those of you last week probably heard me call out, how do you feel? I wanted you to take an assessment of how do you feel? If you feel like, I feel like I'm just getting started, perfect. That's where you want to be. Now, the same thing applies for 6:30, slower than 6:30, especially our walkers, slower than 6:30 pace. You guys want to do the same thing as our faster 4 hours and faster runner athletes. Really, it's more like what I said, 2 to 4% slower. So add 2 to 4%. The same way, that's our 6:30 marathon finishers and slower. The same way our 4-hour marathoners and faster would drop 2 to 4%, 2 to 5%, excuse me, where everybody else is really drop it 5 to 10% in the first 6 miles of the LA Marathon. Save the glycogen. The higher your heart rate, the more that glycogen gets depleted and depleted until miles later you run low and your body just shuts you down. You hit the wall, you crash, you burn, you bonk, whatever you want to call it. It's not good. Take in carbohydrate to help replenish that. And also figure out, well, we'll discuss this later in the talk. The final exponential taper, you got to understand, is all about hormone levels. Here's your energy output. Each block was 1 week. We just did this before. This red is here like hormone levels, and you'll note the energy levels in black here. When your energy levels are, the hormone levels are in black, energy expenditure is in red. So when you note when your energy levels are going up, your hormone levels are going down. When your energy expenditure is going down, your hormone levels are going up, and then reverse, right? So the final taper, this thing back here, you'll note in green, is a final exponential taper. You drop like 50%, then you drop even more. That's what you're doing in this little area in here. Right, from here to here, you're dropping all of that volume. Whoops, I'm going the wrong way. That's what we're doing. Whoop, there we go. There we go. So that's what we're doing in here. This is your final taper. You're just plummeting downward. And look, your hormones are increasing. Your energy is increasing. Hormone levels enable you to rebuild muscle tissue. That's how important what you are doing is right now in just a visual a connection that you can look at. Your volume is dropping exponentially. That's what we call an exponential taper, 40 to 50% drop in everything. And your hormone energy levels and hormone levels are skyrocketing. So that's what's going on right now. I already said this before, 10 to 14 days of exercise before adaptations can occur, meaning fitness. You're at 10 days from this minute. As of tomorrow, no human can gain more from doing more. Got it? You can gain less from doing more at this point. And I already said 0.5% to 6% will give you, what you can gain from that exponential taper on our schedules, the way it is, that much of a benefit. The average is 3%. Okay. No other period can give you as much as this period, as long as you've built up. And even if you didn't build up a lot, you're still going to get some benefits. Like I said, 0.5%, even if you didn't build up as much as you would like. So enough said on all that. Now, and here's my citing of a book, Inigo Mejica from Bath University did a study, and the book was Tapering and Peaking. That's my the resource. So taper. I know I'm going to sound like a parent. I'm going to do this again next week, and I apologize in advance, but it is so important. 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Well, first, do it, taper. Second, if for reasons I already described, 8 to 9 hours of sleep from here on to race day. I know tension builds up toward the end, and you may not be able to sleep the last night before the LA Marathon. Get in as much sleep as you possibly can. Maybe start going to sleep earlier so you can wake up earlier. All good there. No more alcohol from here till the LA Marathon. Alcohol is a diuretic. It takes about 10 days or so for alcohol to exit your body in its entirety. You don't want any alcohol left in your system. So right now, no more partying before the marathon. It is a diuretic. You want to be on full with hydration, not depleting hydration. So enough there. Start to taper. Hopefully you already started, but If you want to use caffeine in a gel or some other form, I know salt stick pills do have a form of their little tablet that has caffeine in it. Whatever form, if you want to use caffeine on race day, and if you want that caffeine to impact your system, meaning giving you more energy, begin to taper off those caffeinated drinks or whatever you're doing with caffeine in it. So that you slowly, I mean, if you're doing like 2 cups of coffee a day, drop like a quarter cup a day, and then the next day another quarter cup, and then a quarter cup. Otherwise, if you plummet your caffeine intake downward, it is a drug, and like it is a legal drug, but it is also a drug. And like all drugs, you become addicted to it. And the more you drink or the more you take in of caffeine or any drug, the more you become accustomed to it. So your body won't be impacted by it as much on race day. But on the other hand, you do have to wean yourself off slowly, or you can have severe headaches and withdrawal symptoms as you would with any drug. So taper off slowly, but get rid of caffeine from your system, hopefully in the next couple of days or week, so that race day, if you're using caffeine, it'll become more efficient with your system. You'll feel an energy increase. You'll feel your adrenaline increase. Even though your glycogen reserves may be dropped, your energy levels will increase. And it's almost as if your subconscious brain is being faked to believe you have more glycogen and more reserves in there. And that's how caffeine can work, especially toward the end of your race. I wouldn't take caffeine necessarily toward the beginning of your race, because you don't want to start out too fast in your race. Like I said, slow it down. Even on that, well, last week we talked about that downhill when you first hit Sunset going down to Chinatown. You take a left on Sunset, and everybody got about a mile and a quarter, mile and a half downhill. Do that at marathon race pace and no faster. You're going to hear a million people screaming, take advantage of the downhill. Come on, man, you can do it. Don't listen to them. Take that downhill no faster than marathon race pace. Hold back. So eat more vegetables and healthy foods now. What you eat on race day is going to be dependent upon what you eat in the next few days and week here, especially. It takes 3 days to fully metabolize a meal. So certainly the last 3 days before your LA marathon, eat really healthy, but you're also rebuilding muscle tissue, and you're rebuilding all sorts of things in your body that you may have depleted during your build and more. We tend to tear our bodies down when we're building up our endurance. Now's a chance to rebuild what you kind of tore down. You could increase your stretching. You could gentle stretch. You could also increase your strength training right now that your volume has dropped. You have more time, especially. Try not to go to, you don't want to do failure, don't go to failure on strength training. And don't go to real soreness on strength training. We're training for a marathon, not bodybuilding, but you could do a little more strength work now. Regarding vegetables and healthy foods, listen to your mom. Eat your vegetables. They're good for you. There are a lot of nutrients in those suckers. You want to get to a point where you're getting like about, this is not a low carb diet by any stretch of the imagination. Glycogen comes from carbohydrate. You need glycogen. You're looking at about 60% carbs, 30% fats, 10% protein. You may want to up your protein if you're doing a little strength training or whatever. Not a lot, not huge, but carb loading, you don't have to worry, pasta, it's just carbs. I love pasta. If you like pasta, eat what you crave, carbohydrate wise. Cake, it spikes your insulin levels, causes you to crash your energy, and actually gets your body to rid sugars. You want to absorb, hold on to sugars. Anyway, so cake, cookies, those kind of high glycemic stuff, kind of avoid that. lower moderate glycemic index carbohydrate would be better, but you don't have to worry about that till next week, really. So, like I said, Saturday, the day you plummet down to Friday, do nothing on Friday. That's next week, this coming week. Saturday, join us if you want to. If you want to, Pace Leaders, if you want to, not mandatory at all. Saturday, join us in Griffith Park, 8 o'clock, not 7, 8 o'clock at Shane's Inspiration, which is the children's playground we always meet at. 10-minute run. It's a lot of fun. We do it on flat dirt. And then we'll go to the expo. It's hard packed dirt. It's not puffy dirt. Anyway, whoops. Also, watch last week's video on the first 6 miles of the LA Marathon. And there's even a more in-depth 3 different videos. The B and the C video are a little more in depth than what I'm going to do today. And that's on our YouTube channel, where this video will soon be. And all our videos, or most of them, end up on our YouTube channel, our LA Roadrunner YouTube channel. So now, the start and finish line the start line is the same. The finish line has moved, and oh, this is the agenda for next week. I'm sorry, never mind. Let's get rid of that. Or stop sharing that, and let's go to our next thing, which is actually the LA Marathon course. And that will be right here. Hang on a sec. Oops, hang on. Let's get rid of this one. And whoa, here we go. Good. And whoa, get rid of that. And here we go. Okay, let me share our screen. And here it is. Okay, good. You should all see this picture. This is a 1986 picture of the start of the first LA Marathon. The LA Marathon was started by a guy you do not hear about here, named Bill Burke, and a woman named Marie Patrick, who was a partner with Bill Burke. Bill Burke's wife was a big help in getting this whole thing started. She was on city council at the time and eventually became a very popular county supervisor named Yvonne Breathwaite Burke, who is both of them are retired. At any rate, he was with the LA Olympics in 1984, but I believe he was in charge of the tennis part of the Olympics, the competition, and he loved it so much, he got a bunch of people together and they calculated how to start a marathon in the spirit of the 84 Olympics, because that was a huge citywide endeavor that absolutely brought enormous money to our town and was very popular, obviously. So 2 years later, the LA Marathon began. There's a picture that you're looking at of it. And at any rate, let me go to, whoops, wrong. Let me go to our map. Good. Now you should hopefully see our map. Do you guys see our map? Yes? No? Anybody?
Yes, I see it.
Good. Okay, thank you. We're just really quick. Start time is 7 o'clock. There will be other guns that go off before 7 o'clock. Obviously, March 16th is one Sunday from this coming Sunday. We're looking at about 10 days from now. 7 o'clock, we go off. We will be leaving Dodger Stadium. You need to, and I'll remind you, next week we're going to talk about logistics. And I'll remind you of this again, you need to get your wristband at the expo from our awning. Our normal LA Roadrunner awning will be at the expo, the other side of the ASICS outdoor giant store from where your bib pickup is. So once you get your bib or after, make sure you come to our LA Roadrunner awning and get your wristband. Otherwise, you have to go through 2 checkpoints. One is our checkpoint, and the second is the Dodger Stadium checkpoint. And those people are tough, man. At one point, they weren't even going to let me in, and I had an all-access pass. Make sure you get a wristband or you will not get in to Dodger Stadium in the loge. It's a hallway, but it's got bathrooms and it's us. So it's where your pace leaders will be before the LA Marathon. If it's raining, which I'm hoping not, we should find out more about weather tomorrow for Sunday, that 10 days from now or so. We are going to leave. We are going to really up and start leaving at 6:15. We have a picture at 6:15. We have my quick little speech right after that. It takes a while to get everybody wrangled into this outdoor area where we'll do our picture. It's this big plaza for 700 people or so we're expecting. And then together we will go out, throw your stuff on the gear check truck in your little clear plastic bag. I'll go over that again next week, more in depth. And then we're going to head out to the corrals together, and you'll see your pace leader holding up a sign that only has the finish time on it. It's not our standard signs. It will just have the marathon finish time for that person's group. You'll see it on our signs this week at all locations, but those are our training signs. That will be their finish time is on those signs. You'll see that. One quick little thing. We do go up 912 feet. However, the marathon, what it doesn't show, it actually drops a little more than 912 feet overall from start to finish. So let's zoom in a little bit here. And we're going to start in with the LA start line of the LA Marathon, which is in, as you know, Dodger Stadium. And let me drop this so you can see elevation. Good. So you'll note the elevation chart. You see this little green dot where it says start on our map. Let me drop that down just a little bit. There you go. Where the green dot where it says start on the elevation on the map is the same as the green dot on the elevation chart down below. You see where my little cursor is here? As I move, you're looking at 0.04 mile distance. Anyway, as I move my little cursor on the elevation chart, the little blue dot, the blue dot will move with us. You see that? Got it? Okay. You're coming out right in, it doesn't really show this very well, but in Dodger Stadium, you have about 1/3 of a mile uphill. You come out of Dodger Stadium and immediately you have this little drop right here as you go, over Stadium Way, and then you're running all the way around. That downhill is right here. Okay, you go through Chinatown. You got the little uphill on First Avenue. I'm just doing a little recap right in this area. That would be, right in there. That area is 3rd Street. You're running over to 1st Street. And then you got Temple. You're going downhill, way down, which you see on your elevation chart. Then you got the biggest uphill in the whole shooting match until you go over the freeway. It's about 1 mile to the freeway. Now you're going over the freeway. It's still a little uphill. And even in here on that side street, Edgeware, you're still going uphill. And then eventually you hit Sunset and you got a little rolling going on here on Sunset. And a little downhill at first, and then it's kind of rolling. So that was last week's discussion. I just wanted to kind of knock that one out really quick again for anybody who missed it. Obviously, we went over really quick. There's Echo Park Pond. The end of Echo Park Pond is where I'm saying, do your 6 mile calculation, and you'll see the signs. The side of the road will say 6 mile. Figure out where you want to be time-wise at that with those additional percentage increases only on the uphills. Slower than 4 to 5 mile runners, 4 hour to 5 hour runners, you want to do run walk on those uphills. You do not want to run all the way up on those uphills, the 4 hour to 5 hour runner only groups. Do run walk. I know, blasphemy, walk. We're not walkers, we're runners. No, run walk up there. Anyway, Save the glycogen. Okay, so now we're up to Sunset, which is right here. You turn left on Sunset. For those last week, we took a right turn and we went on Sunset back to the stadium. Like I said, if you want to do the whole 6 miles again, go to the right. Don't do that. And here we are. Okay, now you can see we're following up here. I'm going to follow the map, but look down below. You can follow the elevation chart. It's really the same deal. And you got a nice little downhill on Sunset here, but you got some rollers in here. You know, there are definitely some rollers. It is not LA. LA as a city is not flat. So take them a little slower. You're already beyond the 6 mile. Keep taking in those gels every 40 minutes or so that you can top up that glycogen level with carbohydrates, about say 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrate based on your size, 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour. A gel, as I keep saying, is this gel, birthday cake, is 23 grams of carbohydrate. So it would really take 2 of these packets of goo to make, and I keep saying this, I know, 2 an hour to make up where you want to be in carbohydrate intake to put yourself in that ballpark. Now, I'm not saying take 2 an hour, you might get sick of all that, but find either some source of carbohydrate that you can take in, including electrolyte. There are 17 water stops. You'll see it says electrolyte and water, electrolyte and water, electrolyte and water. Every single one is electrolyte and water. But they're every about a mile and a quarter. There are only 17 of them. And the first one actually is right around mile 2 over here. Well, it says mile 1.86, give or take. So they really don't have one in the first mile. So act accordingly. Electrolyte doesn't have a lot of sugar or carbohydrate in it. So you may want to take, I take fuel belt bottles. In the days when they had Gatorade, I couldn't drink Gatorade. I just put the powder in my little 7-ounce fuel belt bottles. I had 4 of them, one for each quarter of the race. And as I got each quarter of the race, mile 6, mile 13, mile 20, mile right at the bat, I had 1, then mile 6, mile 13, mile 20. I filled up the next fuel belt bottle and I made sure I drank 1 with each quarter of the race, each 4. One race, Chicago, I actually dropped the fuel belt bottle, and you can't stop and turn around or they're going to run right into you. You can't do that. And I just let it go. But I had a plan B. Always have a plan B. I had an extra gel. I had an extra mineral pill. I took that gel. I took the mineral pill. I drank a little extra water. Good to go. Okay. So I have a plan B just in case, you know, if your plan is to get a gel at mile 12 or 18 of the LA Marathon, and I'll show you where that will be as we progress. Great. Actually, you can kind of see it right here. Here's one. That would be, you see it says goo, electrolyte, and water. That's one. I believe that's around mile 12. The other one is probably under here. You can't really see it. But there's another one at mile 18, which should be around here somewhere. We'll find it as we progress. If you're, and I've had this happen too, I reached out to grab a goo and I missed it because I was running, and boom, I didn't get it from the next person because I was already gone beyond where a bunch of people had boxes and they're handing out gels of goo. Here you go, here you go, here you go. And I missed it. And I missed all of those people. And so have a plan B. Don't just count on mile 12 and mile 18 to give you a goo. And certainly twice in a whole marathon, when you're talking about 40 to 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour, it ain't gonna cut it when these suckers, which is what they're handing out, I don't know what flavor they will have, but this is the size, certainly. When you're only getting in 22 to 23 grams in a goo, That's not, and you only take in 2 of them for the whole marathon. That would cut you for an hour. You know what I'm saying? Get the picture? Okay, you need to take some fuel with you. Anyway, so we're going up. Aid stations are places where if you're injured or if you're feeling pain, if you need to get medical attention, if you fall, scrape your knee, you can get bandaged up. Whatever it is, they'll have some kind of solution for you. They could call in an ambulance, which is a real rare occasion, but they have ambulances on call. We once called in an ambulance when some guy just his ankle hurt. And we threw him on an ambulance and we drove him out of there. That was not the LA Marathon. It was a race I was part of. But there is always that option. They're there to get you out of there, if need be. So use the first aid stations. There's, I believe the first one is right past Echo Park Pond. They usually have red awnings. And you'll see the people inside are wearing red for our aid. Yeah, that's the first aid station. It's about mile 6.5. Yeah, it says 6.23 mile. So right in there is a first aid station. And then they come about, there's another one at mile 8, another one at mile 9.8. They're pretty regular. Here's another one at almost 12, a little before 12. There's another one at, I think we're at 14, almost 15, and then 15, almost 16, and on and on and on. Here you go, one more at 25. Obviously, the finish line is right there. You can walk across the street if you really need help. You're at the finish line. There are a slew of people with, at the finish line in case you get into trouble. And then there's one more out here in Brentwood at mile 21. And of course, then you hit this one again before the finish line at mile 25. Oh, this would be like mile 18, 19, something at one side of the street. Anyway, okay, enough for aid stations. I'm just going through the whole course really quick. So we are right around here on Sunset, traveling up Sunset. We're going through all of these rollers. Be aware, they're here. Slow down a little, speed up a little, try and maintain a marathon race pace average. If you're going up those hills at marathon race pace, you're just going to be depleting your glycogen. You're going to be depleting your resources. You're going to be sweating more. You're going to be sweating more sodium more, which you need. You need sodium in order to absorb hydration effectively. On a hot day, one of the real problems is you sweat more, you sweat out more sodium, and you get to a point where you can't absorb hydration. And that's not a good place to be. The simple solution on a hot day, if it's going up into the upper 70s, the lower 80s, keep in mind, my PR, lifetime PR, it was New York Marathon, 84 degrees, which is not a flat course, 84 degrees at the finish line, and that was my PR. But I was popping mineral pills. I looked like a drug addict running down the street, okay? Sodium, potassium, calcium, all that, magnesium. But the big kicker is the sodium that will help you absorb hydration more efficiently. If you've ever had water jiggling in your stomach, if you ever felt nauseous, if you ever saw somebody throw up water at the finish line, they are absolutely sign of sodium depletion. They need sodium. Where do you get sodium? Hey, after your race, have a good burrito with a lot of salsa. Tomatoes are packed with sodium. They're packed with lycopene, which is helps reduce risk of cancer. All sorts of good stuff. Anyway, so let's get back on track. You're going through some rollers through Hollywood here. You're going to, let's zoom in a little more. You're running up Hollywood Boulevard. You're going through Hollywood itself, Hollywood Boulevard. And, Sunset becomes Hollywood Boulevard. This is Sunset. You run onto Hollywood Boulevard. And here, this is Hollywood. kind of a cool area, kind of fun to run through Hollywood Boulevard. But again, it's got some rollers in here. As you can see, a little downhill right there. Right here is you're going down Orange, I believe it is. Orange Street, should be. Where does it say? Well, screw it. Anyway, right in here is Orange. It's a nice little downhill, as you can see, elevation chart. From the top, you're starting at about 386 feet. At the bottom, you're looking at 350 feet. So you're just in really one long block, which I believe is next to Hollywood High School, if I'm not mistaken. In one long block, you've just dropped from 386, call it 390 to 350. You've dropped almost 40 feet in one block. Nice little downhill. You can get a little more speed on. In there, change your running, if you're a runner, change your running form, even walkers. Change your walking form a little more for walkers, but a lot more for runners. What I want you guys to do, you don't want to be pounding, running down that hill at normal form, right? Because what's going to happen is you're reaching out with your leg, you're landing, even with normal form, on a downhill. That means you're falling farther and farther and farther with each step. And what you want to do is brace yourself by landing with more steps on that downhill, but quicken your stride, kind of almost double time it. You don't have to pick up your feet any more than normal. Just pick up your feet and put them down really, really quickly, and you will fly down that hill without the pounding on your quads and your knees and all of that. You don't want to burn out your quads, the front of your thighs. You don't want to burn out your quads going down these big hills. Now, that's only like, from from Hollywood and Highland to Sunset again, right? Over here, you go from Sunset to Hollywood. Now you're going up Hollywood and you're going down Orange to, I guess this is Highland, maybe. Hollywood and Highland? No, Hollywood Highland is right here.
No, that's Orange. You're
It's
right.
Orange. I was just correcting myself. Thank you. Well, Highland is right here. It says Hollywood and anyway, Orange is right here. So that's a good downhill. Don't screw up your quads by running with normal running form. Same thing with walking. Take quicker, shorter stride on that downhill. Power walking is pretty short, quick stride to begin with. You might even shorten, quicken it a little more as best you can, though not as bad for walkers. Us runners do with every step throw ourselves into the air, and then we land farther down on a downhill. Got it? We're crashing with every step. So step quicker, and you'll support that fall, basically. You'll feel way less pounding. Now we're on Sunset again. Some fair amount of rollers again. A nice little uphill as you're going through, what is it, like West Hollywood in here. This is Fairfax right here. But you got, you can see follow the blue dot. You can see you got this fair amount of uphill from right there all the way up to right about there. We're looking at 415-foot vertical. We're starting at about 350-foot vertical. 350 to 415 was about 60-foot climb right in there from mile, call it 13, from mile 12.2. It's in about an 8.8 tenths of a mile. You're dropping you're going up about 60 feet. So slow it down, because coming around the corner here, you're still on Sunset, you're going down Sunset, but you have a nice long glide, kind of little up, little rollers, but you got a nice drop from up here, essentially 411 feet all the way down to 229 feet, 411 to 229 feet. Let's go. That's going to be on Doheny from right there to right there, which is off the screen. Hang on a sec. There it is, right here. There's the top of, you're already dropping down a little rollers, but dropping down. This is the biggest plummet, and I use the word plummet in the whole LA Marathon course. Right at the bottom, they actually have people to slow down our wheelchair people, because that's a sharp turn, not for you guys. It's a big deal for you guys. Who cares? It's a 90-degree normal turn. It's not even that sharp. Oh, hi. Hey, hang on, my dog just came in. Sorry. Oh, thank you. Look, here you go. Hang on one sec, you guys. I'm so sorry. Oh, bye. Thank you. Anyway, my dog just came home. Sorry about that. At any rate, this is a big plummet, as you can see. Again, really important. Quicken your stride on that downhill, runners, even run walkers. Quicken your stride a little bit. Don't we take advantage of the downhill. You can do it. Come on, you guys. You probably won't hear that ever on this downhill because people are already a little tired out who are doing that, and their quads are already a little sore from doing that. So you probably won't hear people screaming that as you will going down toward Chinatown when you first hit Sunset in like mile 1 to 2. But you're looking at 352-foot vertical elevation. You're looking at right there, all the way down 352, all the way down to 223. That's, somebody do the math for me because I'm not.
130 feet.
130-foot plummet. 130-foot plummet from 1478 to what is that? Not even a little over a half mile. 140 feet drop in a little over a half mile. That's outrageous, and it is. It's a really good downhill. You can really take advantage of that downhill if you shorten and quicken your stride on those two downhills. This one, especially on Doheny, off of Sunset, that downhill on Doheny, which takes you to Santa Monica Boulevard. Again, we're going Hollywood, Santa Monica, Sunset, Anyway.
It's not Doheny, it's San Vicente Boulevard.
Yeah, exactly. From this one at Orange, where did we lose it? There you go. At Orange, that's a good downhill. And then, of course, this one over here on Doheny, that takes you over to Santa Monica Boulevard, and electrolyte and water will be right at the bottom. I don't think we have a water table at the top. No. Well, it's kind of it's the beginning of a downhill. Right there, right near, I think this street is, what did we say this was? La Cienega. Right after La Cienega, you have a little water, and that begins a nice little downhill glide, which you can see on the elevation chart down here. We already discussed. Okay, so that's Orange, that's Doheny. Now you're on Burton Way. Burton Way. By the way, take note of this. You tell me if you don't see a difference. So you're running through West Hollywood, right? Is this West Hollywood? I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken. Certainly, yeah, this is Sunset up here. So you're down on West Hollywood, and you tell me after the race if you don't think this is true, what I'm about to tell you. I find this fascinating. I don't know why. Santa Monica Boulevard, West Hollywood, is just a party city. These people are the most wonderful, energetic, pom-pom throwing people, whatever. They're having fun. They're really motivating. You just cannot help but smile in West Hollywood on Santa Monica Boulevard. I love these guys. And then you run down Doheny. There's no one really there on Doheny. But then you take, the turn onto Burton Way, and what was this uproarious party surrounding the course on both sides is now near silence. And if you can see my picture on the screen up here, you'll know this is what they're doing. That's pretty much it. And they're just watching people go by. Occasionally you'll get some probable outsider, I don't know, somebody that just wanted to see their friends in Beverly Hills was like the place to do it. I don't know. I find it amusing in a kind of disturbing way regarding Beverly Hills. But man, if I had my choice, through West Hollywood, have fun. Rodeo Drive, nice little gradual, slight, almost unseen, but wonderful little downhill going down Rodeo Drive. I've run down that. Nike Town used to have a run in Beverly Hills from their store when they had a store. They don't anymore. I love ASICS, our sponsor, but they used to have a run there. And we used to fly down Rodeo Drive because it was the end of our run. And man, I love flying down Rodeo Drive, especially that hour in the morning. You can window shop all you want, and you cannot buy a thing because all the stores are closed at that hour of the day. So go window shopping down one of the most exclusive streets in the United States, Rodeo Drive. That's right where we're going to be running. And it is a nice, slight, gradual downhill. You don't have to worry about pounding out the knees or whatever. You can see it on our elevation chart right from here. Right from here it begins. And then there's that nice little downhill that kind of ends right at the bottom of Rodeo Drive, right where my blue dot is. Okay, right around there. Great downhill. You should know, just as a point of reference, that right in here somewhere, there is actually kind of on the left side of the street as you're running down the street. For those of you architect lovers, there is a Frank Lloyd Wright designed little spiral. It's a little spiral kind of building that has shops in it. And it's actually designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. On the left side of the street, there's a little spiral kind of building that tapers as it spirals up. Frank Lloyd Wright designed it. Very cool if you're into architecture. At any rate, a little piece of history as you go along the course. And of course, there's so many other things on the course, like the Mann's Chinese Theater as you run down Hollywood Boulevard and all that stuff, which is really, really cool. I think makes the LA Marathon really kind of the iconic run that it is. It's an amazing course. Is it flat? Nowhere in LA is really flat. No, it is not flat. But it's an amazing, fun, great marathon run. Rodeo Drive is the most popular street, according to people's reports that I got from our office. Rodeo Drive is the most popular area in the whole course. So there you go. At any rate, so we're now, whoops, let's move down a little bit. We're now off of Rodeo Drive. We're now, back it up. Where are we? Here. There we go. Here we go. Here's our blue dot. We're now on Wilshire. We're headed towards Century City on Wilshire. Not too bad. A little uphill you're still in Beverly Hills. You'll see a slight, what is it, 242 up to 285, but that's really a couple, it's like mile 16, almost 17, up to mile 18. That's in a mile. It's not horrible. It's just a gradual uphill now. And you're heading toward the Century City Mall. Let's move that down right here. Here's Century Park East. That's the mall right there. Avenue of the Stars, Century Park West. The finish line, by the way, this is a mistake. I don't know how that got there. The finish line is at Century Park East It is at Century Park East, where my little hand cursor is right now. There's 18.36 on one side of the street and 26 miles, well, it should be 26.2 on the other side of the street. I'm not sure how that happened. That's a mistake. Anyway, and by the way, you should know, before we'll go into this, the little green area here was off of Century Park East. It used to be you would go down Century Park East and then turn on, what is it?
Constellation.
Thank you. And right in here was our beer garden. Well, no, the beer garden will no longer be there because of construction. We can't get in there right now. Oh, this is Beverly Hills High School, in case you're wondering what that is. You won't really see it from the course. But at any rate, we will be going into the Century City Mall, which will be actually right in this area here. And in the middle of the Century City Mall will actually be where the beer garden is. It's okay after the marathon, as long as you're not too horribly hydration depleted. You can have beer in the beer garden. We'll talk about this next week. That's logistics for next week. So we're still going down the course. We're at like mile, whoops, where are we here? We're getting there. So you actually do cross the finish line. Well, you go past the finish line, heading west. The finish line is, of course, when you're heading back to the east. You will hear kind of uproarious applause and cheers, and you can get excited. Finish line is coming up. You are, where are we here? We're right at about mile 18, right about there. We're at about mile 18, a little over mile 18. We will not have an awning for the LA Roadrunners this year. We will not be able to take goodie bags and leave them at our awning because the awning won't be there because the whole area there is going to be the finish line. So it'd be a nightmare to have an awning there. At any rate, so here we go. Mile 18, so we already did that uphill. That's in Beverly Hills, right there. We're now coming down. Whoops, where are we here? Let's back up a little bit. Whoop. There we go. Good. Okay. We'll get rid of that. Good. So now we're rolling along. Here we go. So, whoop. Okay, now we're good. Now, here we are. So you'll note there is two things right here, right after you pass the finish line going west at mile 18.27 at 288 feet. There is at Beverly, right before Beverly Glen, there is a drop to right where Beverly Glen is. What was that, 288? You're looking at about a 30-foot drop at Beverly Glen Street I used to live on. I used to have to decide when I was pace leading. I lived 3 blocks away, I used to, and I could go home and have lunch, take a shower, or I could go up this next ugly hill from the bottom of Beverly Glen at 247 to, whoops, what the heck is going on here? 247 to 263, roughly about 30 foot, whatever. They actually knocked that hill lower when they redid that whole area. They took out most of what used to be a huge island in the middle, and they lowered that whole area. But when I was running it, there was this massive uphill in front of me, and I had to decide, oh, I could ditch the group and go home. What the hell? I never did that. Anyway, was I correct in that? Well, anyway. Here we go. We got a nice downhill, a little bit on Santa Monica Boulevard, right in this area, right before you start. Now, this is right around Westwood Boulevard. Right around Westwood Boulevard, right after Westwood Boulevard, you begin an uphill that continues. Right now, we're going up Sepulveda. From Santa Monica Boulevard, you turn right on the Sepulveda. The original LA Marathon headquarters was right at the corner of Ohio, right there, Ohio and Sepulveda on the left side of your street, if you wanted to know where the original LA Marathon headquarters were. Doesn't say it anymore. There's no plaque or anything. And then you go by The little green area there is the Bad News Bears baseball field, which is a real, kids baseball field, and that's where they filmed. You guessed it, Bad News Bears. And you're still going uphill on Sepulveda. Just slow it down a little bit. Save it up for a little bit. What goes down will go up. If you're looking at the elevation chart, you will see what is going up is about to go down. There's a little wavering in Brentwood right in through here, but this same uphill now becomes the downhill. Got it? So let's move on to Brentwood. And we're right in this area here where you see that little dot. It's just a little bit rolling. It's kind of a tough area because you're tired. You're already at mile 21 when you, right there, mile 21, where you enter that area. The LA Running Club will have an awning there. I don't know that they're going to be, I know they're not going to hand out water. I don't know if they're going to be handing out anything else, but this is a tough area right in through this area here because it is a little up and down, and you're already at mile 21. You're already a little fatigued, especially after this coming up Sepulveda and all that before it. So you're now a little rollers, not huge, unseen pretty much for the most part, little rollers in this area here. Now, this is where the course is different from this year from last year, and this is the course is correct. The years previous, the course ended right here on Saltaire. Right here, I didn't end. It U-turned. It U-turned. It didn't end. It U-turned. Pardon me. It U-turned on that little in between the little island. There was a little U-turn there at Saltaire. And it U-turned and went back there. Be prepared. It goes another real short block. You'll see the traffic light. When you're way over here, you'll see the traffic light for Bundy. Bundy goes here, and then it zigzags over, and this is Bundy also. But right at that traffic light where Bundy is, like I said, you'll see it from way down here. That's where this whole thing U-turns and heads back, and you go through those little rollers again, and you head back to the bottom of San Vicente, and you're back, where am I? You're back right there on Wilshire Boulevard on that downhill again, down Sepulveda, that nice glide all the way down to Santa Monica Boulevard. You're still going down a little bit until you see my right there. Right there is Westwood Boulevard. Remember, after Westwood, you're going up. In this case, before Westwood Boulevard on the way back, you're going down. But what went down before is now going up. So from Westwood Boulevard, you have this kind of, like I said before, on the downhill, you have this real gradual uphill. You start at 231 feet, you go all the way up to 265 from almost to mile 6, from mile 24-ish. So you're looking at over a mile. From over a mile, you're going from 231 to 265. You're only looking at about 30-foot vertical in 1 mile. But because in over a mile, at least a mile and a quarter, mile and a third roughly, which really isn't a lot. It's an unseen uphill. But because of where it is in the course, it does make things a little more difficult. And then, of course, you go through down right there again, Beverly Glen, my former loving home, big downhill. And then I shouldn't say big, it's kind of a short, sort of steep downhill. And then from the bottom, and SBRC, that club is always right at the bottom in the intersection there. And then from the bottom, right up at the top, and right a block later, you're finishing at Century Park West, right here. That's actually where it finishes. I swear, I promise, that's where it finishes. I got that from the race director herself. And at any rate, that is the end of your LA Marathon course. Then go into Century City, grab a beer. The bottom, the tear off piece of your bib number is a free beer or a free non-alcoholic beer. Just tuck it under your bib number to get it out of the way. That kind of peel off little tab. We'll mention this next week. But don't throw it away. Don't just tear it off and get rid of it. Give it to somebody if you don't want it. I usually never used mine. I don't think I ever used mine. I don't want alcohol after a race. No. At any rate, so that is your LA Marathon course. And don't forget, 1986 was the first LA Marathon. This is 2025. You're looking at the 40th running or the 40th event of the LA Marathon, an exciting year. And there you go. With that, I want to say thank you all for chiming in, those who have done so online on the recorded version, and those of you still online on the live version, hang on, we're not going anywhere. I'll answer a lot of questions, but for those of you on the recorded version, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next Thursday where we talk about logistics. And take care, you guys. Have fun. Bye.